It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gate.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. Nielsen, Cass, and Gager was here, and now he's not here, but he will be right back. It's episode 205 of Two Guys and a Goalie, brought to you by our friends at Coolbet Canada. If you're not signed up for an account yet at Coolbet, all you have to do is hop online, enter the bonus code 2guys at coolbet.com when you sign up for an account, and you will get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to $200. Gager, everything okay, buddy?
Just a lot of coffee this morning, Dusty. Sorry. I wouldn't have made it.
As he drinks more coffee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dehydrate.
Yeah, that's important. It's very important. Cass, back at work obviously today, but heard you had a little trip to Galaxy Land over the weekend.
Yeah.
How was the madness?
It was madness. It's weird going in, and they were always only like 50%. Capacity, and it still was pretty packed in there. So it was like an adjustment. It was just weird, like standing in lines and being around people, and not in a bad way. It was just different.
Yeah.
And then, I won't go through the whole story here, but my 6-year-old, who's taller than most 8 or 9-year-olds, wanted to go on one of the rides that like flips you and spins you upside down, and is really high up in the air. And she was set that she wanted to go on this thing, and must have made her watch it 3 or 4 times and asked her like 20 times if she was sure that she wanted to go on it. And she said yes, and was good at the start of the ride. And then the second the thing started flipping, went into an absolute panic. So I felt like a real good dad, like I made good choices, which isn't true at all. I felt like a horrible dad making horrible choices, even though it was her own choice, I guess, that she wanted to go on this thing. So, but she made it through and was really, really brave, even though I felt like a horrible parent. But overall, it was still lots of fun, getting to go and seeing the kids go on some of the other rides too, and bumper cars and all that fun stuff.
How was the ride? Like from an adult perspective, I've seen that one you're talking about, kind of down in the dip there under the the secondary roller coaster. Is it good?
You know what? I couldn't really tell you, because I became focused not so much on the ride and more on just trying to calm my daughter down. So I wasn't even like paying attention to what was going on. I was just like trying to, hold her hand, like have her hand over top of like where she was, just had the death grip on the little holding handle, and was just talking to her the whole time. So I barely even noticed. And I love rides, so I don't mind the flipping and spinning at all. I think it would have been pretty fun. Because you're high up there, and you do get the you're not just flipping straight, and some of them are a little bit slower, so it would have been pretty good. But yeah, I was more focused on making sure my daughter didn't fall out or try to crawl out because she was terrified.
Gage, are you a big ride guy, like with your kids, like back in the day, or?
Yeah, well, back in the day with Shaw, it was great. Their Christmas party, they used to rent out Galaxy Land.
Oh, come on.
It was just Shaw employees. And so when my kids were so young that they couldn't go on certain rides, right? So, but we went every year, and they got presents and stuff. And it was great. Having Galaxy Land to yourself was awesome. But then I remember one time my son wanted to go, and he was still quite young. And we went during like a Saturday afternoon like that, Cass. But it was full capacity, and he wanted to go into the big ball pit. And my son liked to hide from me when he was younger. So he went in there.
That would drive me nuts.
Oh, God. And so he went and hid into the thing, and I couldn't find him. So, and of course, as a parent, I'm just thinking I'm looking for someone holding my kid over his shoulder running out of Galaxy Land. So I had to stay by the gate, and they kind of close everything off, and I'm looking, and I go in there and I run out, and it took me about an hour to find him. And he was like in the unvaccinated ball pit, I guess what it was. Like we both came out of there with the worst colds. Those places were terrible. It's amazing we're even alive. But yeah, I like the rides. I think as I got older though, my inner ear fluid's like Jello now. So anything that spins around in a circle, I'm done for like 3 hours. I can't do them anymore. I can watch them, can't do them.
It's weird. I just recently noticed, like usually when I come home from work, Elizabeth she goes to preschool 3 days a week, but the other days she'll come running over to me and I'll kind of pick her up and I'll spin her around like 3 or 4 times. And by 3 or 4 times, I'm like, oh, daddy's got to put you back down. Like, I don't know what's happened to me right now. It's because I used to really like doing the rides. I haven't had a chance to do it in a while, but there should be a huge park. Well, there is a huge park like 2.5 hours south of Cranbrook, just in the States, Silverwood, which was just an awesome roller coaster park back when we were kids. It was pretty sweet. All right, so no Hernán Salas today. It's just the 3 of us. We've got lots to get to. We got to talk about it. I think I've got 5 questions for Keep It or Clip It, so we'll get to that a little bit later on as well. But Gager, let's start with you, buddy. What do we got to talk about? Where are we going?
Well, just on the Oilers front and seeing Jay Woodcroft and the success he's had in the first 5 games, but then not so much on the last game there, and getting kind of shellacked by the Minnesota Wild, and everyone saying, "Oh, is the bloom off the rose? Is the coach's bump officially over? Are the Oilers going to revert back to the team that we saw before?" And I don't think so, guys. I think I think the Oilers are going to keep going in a direction that's quite positive. And the reason why is I see a lot of things, but one of the main things I see, well, is the goalies are playing better, but the body language that I see from the big 2 with McDavid and Draisaitl during these games is a little bit different. And I think listening to, well, I remember Craig McTavish was talking about how, I mean, Connor wants to win, Leon wants, all those guys want to win, but maybe it was a little bit trying to do a little bit too much himself all the time, and just taking on too much responsibility to an extent. And to see how Woodcroft has employed all the rest of the guys on the team and shared the minutes, I think what I've seen with definitely with Connor is just being able to let other guys take a major responsibility as well, and not trying to do too much himself and play more of a team game. And I think that's what Woodcroft and Manson have implemented a little bit with over these last 5 games. So I don't think it's just the coach's bump. I think it's an anomaly. A lot of games we're going to really see, I guess, in the next few games here when they go on this murderer's row of some really good teams, really good tests. So I'm very I'm excited to see what these games do and how they play, and with a little bit of rest and going up against the league's best.
Cass, what do you think? The one loss, I mean, does it set them back a few steps here, or do they kind of? I know it's tough with the competition they've got coming up, but I also didn't mind the fact that they lose, then they have a nice travel day, they get down to Tampa, they get to have a full practice down there today, and kind of move forward. I think timing-wise, that works out really well for not getting stuck in a little bit of a losing streak here. But where are you at on what Gager's asking there?
Well, they won 5 of the last 7. And the games that they won, in particular on the California trip, were the more important games to win. Like, if I'm picking, do they beat Minnesota or do they beat LA? I want them to beat LA. Beat Minnesota or beat San Jose, beat San Jose. Beat Anaheim or beat Minnesota, beat Anaheim. So if you're going to lose one, that was the one to lose. And they played pretty well and pretty consistent for the most part of it. It was super sloppy. Like, the more I thought about it, they're in the defensive zone in particular, like, they were just throwing pucks. It wasn't even physical exhaustion. It was just like mentally, they just were not there that game, especially in the first period against Mini. Just not on with it. But I don't think I can say that it's a broader symptom yet at this point of what's going on. Like, I can't sit here and say that, I think now it's, this is that team that we saw against Minnesota is the team, because it was more mental mistakes. It wasn't system mistakes. It wasn't effort mistakes. It's a long stretch of games. You don't give them the free pass on it. Like, it was a horrible game. However, I can understand it to a certain extent, but now is a real test. Do they let it snowball because they're going into, as you said, murderer's row against some really good teams, or do they bounce back? And do we see the type of game that they have played, the 4 or 5 games prior, with the jump and the standing up at the blue line and the backtracking and all the good things that they started doing? Now is the test time, because you just had a big loss. So I think that coaching bump is probably over. And now you're going to have a big test of what this team is actually capable of here on this trip. So big time coming up for the boys.
From practice today in Tampa, a little bit of a tweak here from Jay Woodcroft. Third line will stay the same, Nuge, Ryan, and Fogle. First line will be McDavid with Hyman over on his right side and McLeod sliding up there on the left side. And then that drops Yamamoto back down on the right side with Draisaitl and Kane. Not the overhaul that we might have saw under Tippett, but a little tweak there after a loss. Gager, what do you think? Yamamoto back down with Draisaitl and Kane and McLeod getting the bump up there.
I like that because although Yamo isn't the same physical stature as Kane, but kind of a buzzsaw mentality in there and getting under people's skin. Kane does the same thing with finishing his checks. I thought they did. There was a couple shifts that they were together, I think, last game. Were they not? Or maybe it was off. I can't remember. But yeah, I like that move a little bit. And McLeod, yeah, I mean, he's definitely, we've seen glimpses of how good he can play. Some of those passes he was making the game before and just being a little bit more confident with the puck. Yeah, I like it. It's nice not to see a full blender too, right? Like just it's subtle tweaks. Usually with Tippett, it would be a full overhaul. So yeah, I like. They're going to need that second line to do some damage for sure and be physical. So yeah, I like it.
Cass, what do you think? What are they trying to get out of that flip, Yamamoto and McLeod?
Yeah, just a little bit of a different look, I think. Both quicker players. Both have some speed. Yamamoto, I would say, is a little bit more sound defensively, positionally. In the offensive zone, he's a little bit more sound, where there's probably, I would say, maybe not today, but long-term, you have more offensive potential with McLeod. I think McLeod's better at carrying the puck through the neutral zone and into the offensive zone. And positionally, again, I think Yamamoto's a little bit better positionally in the offensive zone. So there's some slight differences between the two guys, but this isn't, to me, like a major, massive change.
Yeah.
It's more like a little bit of a different look on each of the lines. Try to see what you have, still trying to figure out what exactly is going to work best and see if you can create some magic. So I have no problem with it. You're not fundamentally changing massive stuff here. It's just a little tweak.
I hope that McLeod kind of plays a little bit more physical with finishing. I'm not saying run guys through the boards, but just I guess you call it a heavier game, but just I mean, I'd really like to see Pugliarvi with that and with Hyman and McDavid and go from there. But as long as he still brings a little bit more of a physical presence, I think that'll be okay.
How good has Hyman been lately, too? I mean, I know he's scored in all these games, but like he just seems to have the puck and a presence in the offensive zone. Like I think this is, I know he had that injury earlier in the year and maybe it's taken a little bit to get up to speed, but I think the last week or so has been the best that he's looked as a member of the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, is that just me, or are you guys seeing that as well outside of finishing? I mean, anytime you're scoring goals, we're going to love you. But I think overall, I think he's been, outside of McDavid and Draisaitl, he's been the key guy for driving a lot of the offensive opportunities.
I think it's like you see those guys that get traded to a new team and feeling where does he fit in and like you said, does he the injury and stuff, but just over this last little bit, you can definitely see a confidence level of him with the puck and trying to create things themselves instead of deferring to either Leon or Connor at certain points too, right? So yeah, I mean, well, he's scoring goals, yeah, so it looks like he's doing great, but yeah, there's definitely a change. I think he's a lot more comfortable with the players he's playing with and his overall situation with the team.
Cass, anything on Hyman?
I mean, he's on a heater. He's on a heater, which is good. He's strong on the puck. And I think that confidence has just grown and grown. Like when he's got the puck on the stick, it's hard to take it away from him in the offensive zone. I really like his work below the dots in the offensive zone. He's one of the better Oilers at spinning off of pressure and creating offense. And he's not a guy that's afraid to go to the net and take the puck there. Which really is, I don't want to say exactly as advertised for Hyman, but it's kind of what he should do and what we expect him to do to a certain extent. So, I mean, I'm not surprised by the way that he's playing based on everything that we had heard about and have seen him do already. But it is just nice to see him having some success and building some just momentum with that, of taking the puck to the net, because he's a guy down the stretch, both from a depth standpoint and just an overall offensive standpoint. He needs to be a big part of it. So if he can keep building that, that's great. Really help this team have success.
Who do you guys start on Wednesday? Kick off this road trip. You go back to Smith, or do you go to Koskinen?
Stuart Skinner.
I think I got a better chance of playing in that game than Stuart does, Cass.
Yeah, probably. They're going back to Smith. Like,
you go back to Smith?
They go back to Smith. Yeah.
Do you think? Okay, you think they will? Would you? Would you go back to Smith too?
Stuart Skinner.
Okay, you would call up Skinner and start him. Gager, what would you do? And
I go to Mikko. Like I said on the award-winning Dustin Nielsen show this morning, I thought that to build that competition, get that fire built under Smith, instead of knowing that he's probably going to get that next start, if I don't play well, I'm not going to get those starts. And these guys are good when they're competing like that. And Mikko played well the last game. Can you fault him a lot of those? Maybe one of those goals, yeah. Maybe two of them he should have had. But the game before, he was pretty solid throughout the whole game and won. So I reward him with a start that he should have probably gotten in the first place if the Oilers won in Minnesota. So
I love how we always say in this market, maybe he should have stopped two of them. You know what I mean? It's like the same thing over and over and over again. All right, that's a lot on the Oilers. We'll come back to that during Keep It or Clip It. Cass, what do you want to talk about, buddy?
I wanted to talk about the big man, Zdeno Chara, playing 1,651 games tonight to tie Chris Chelios for the most ever by a defenseman. Insane. So I wanted to ask you guys, because I'm going to share mine here, but just to be thinking about it as I'm telling mine, I just want to hear your favorite Zdeno Chara memory.
Oh boy.
Or like a moment that stands out to you about him or in his career. So I'm going to go with two here. Number one was the first time I remember really watching him play. And it was in the dressing room when I was with Vancouver as a 16, 17-year-old in junior in the WHL. And our trainer there, Toledo Robinson, or Colin Robinson, who's been in the league for a long time, he just started talking about the fitness testing that Chara went through and about how insane he was. With like the number, because we did do all the fitness testing and like the number of bench presses and pull-ups and stuff. And I still couldn't believe like a guy that big that was able to do he was like 40 or 50 something like reps on the bench of like whatever it was, 175 pounds, like where he just wouldn't stop. Like he'd decide to be finished. And then it even happened later. So in my career, when I was in the NHL and we were going through fitness testing, some of the guys were talking about his scores that year, and he did 40 pull-ups. So this is a man like that's like 6'8", that's not a light man, and that's a long way. Like, just to put some perspective on that, like I was decent at doing pull-ups, and I'd get like 15 for a big guy like with long arms. Like that was pretty good in terms of total number of pull-ups, and he would get like 40, and he wouldn't even be too tired to stop. He'd just decide he was done. It's like he wouldn't be like, oh, I can't get this and can't, do one more. He'd just be like, no, that's enough. I think that's enough to beat every single person, even the guys that weigh like 110 pounds that have to, pull ups like 3 inches instead of like 3.5 feet of motion that he has to go through, which is just insane. And then my favorite on ice memory of Zdeno would have been a game in Ottawa when we're playing against him. I got a pass up the wall in the defensive zone, and Chara decided to pinch on me. Now I shoulder checked, I saw him coming, and he came down, and I chipped the puck around him, knowing full well that I had Eric Condra, coming through the center with full support. And the second I chipped the puck, I'm like, that's a 2-on-1 because Chara shouldn't have pinched. I had too much time, and I put the puck by him cleanly. So the puck, slows down. It was an area play. So it slows down kind of basically on the far blue line face-off dot. And I'm expecting Connie, like Eric Condra, to be able just to skate into it, pick it up, and then a 2-on-1 against the defenseman that's there. Well, Chara turns, takes 2 steps, and dives. So his feet are at our blue line, and then he like extends, so full length of his body. So he dives like and stick all the way out. So he's covering like quite literally almost like 20
half the neutral zone.
Pretty much half the neutral zone, and he gets a piece of it like at the red line. So he jumps at the blue line, gets a piece of the puck that got chipped by him, like that's like starting to slow down by the red line, and just pushes it all the rest of the way down the ice, like to his own end, to break up what would have been a clear 2-on-1. And I just remember being like, "What?" Like, just seeing him extend that far, just being like, this is ridiculous. Like, look, it should have been a 2-on-1. I should be feeling really good about myself creating a chance, and it just turned into nothing. Then the puck went down, eventually got frozen, and then I got taken off the ice. So I was like, that worked out great for me.
I thought you were going to start that story with you toe dragged him at the blue line. That's what I was waiting for.
Dude, I did one. I know like my reputation for like in the alumni skates and everything is I just try to toe drag everywhere. And it's true and deserved. I do. I only tried one toe drag ever in a pro game. And I think I've told that story before.
Yeah, you got yanked off. Didn't Mike Yo tell you?
I got pulled off the ice and Mike Yo told me to never do it again. And I didn't. So.
Gage, you got a Chara memory?
Well, I think I told you a while ago in one of the episodes about the pull-up thing where like these aren't just like good life fitness guys doing pull-ups where they go down like 3 inches. This is full extension of Chara's arms. Like, and those, I don't know what his wingspan is. It's probably like 8 feet. And so he's on the pull-up machine in Slovakia where we were having camp when I was playing in Germany there. And he gets on this pull-up machine, and you know how you pull up your legs, and he at full extension, his knees were like an inch off the ground, right? Like he was so long, and he rattled off like 12, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty impressive, big guy. But then he went and put that weight belt on and put 2 45-pound weights dangling between his legs, and then did like 20 more. And I was like we were all stunned in the weight room. It was kind of weird because everyone, I had probably, I'm doing 20s with curls grunting over in the corner while Chara's doing these pull-ups, and we're all just kind of watching him, just a complete freak. And then the weirdest thing is, and I think I know I said this before, is when you see NBA players, like in Portland where I played, you'd see the NBA guys, and they look kind of tall and lanky and weird looking. And that's what Chara kind of walking around, you'd see him, but he'd get on the ice and you go, how can this guy move like that on the ice? Like he moved like a guy that was 6 feet. It was phenomenal athlete. What a career. I do remember because I believe Eric Brewer played with him in Prince George. They were good friends, and Eric Brewer and I were roommates for a while, and Chara and him would talk on the phone sometimes on the road. And I don't know if it was, I remember, I think Chara was holding out for a bit, and Eric Brewer was telling him, oh, you hold out. You soak them for as much money as possible. It was pretty funny hearing Eric, because Chara actually phoned Eric Brewer for advice because I think he was with Ottawa at that point. But I remember Brew just going, no, you don't sign that crap. he had more few colorful language with that. He goes, you're the best D-man there. You hold out. They can't do shit without you. So yeah, that was kind of funny as well. But congratulations, and the guy speaks like 5 languages too. Like he's brilliant.
Yeah,
like
1,651 games, man.
It won't be long till he's head office on a team.
He's still fighting people.
Yeah. I can see him being front office somewhere. I would
just an intelligent guy.
Look to him to, like, if I'm the Oilers, hey, Zdeno, any plans for after the career? Maybe start with something. I would definitely look to him to be part of my organization.
The thing that first pops up to me, and I know he had a great career, but remember when he hammered Max Pacioretty into the stanchion? And they changed. That's why they curved him. Like it was because of that play. Like he absolutely. Habs are up 4-0. I just looked it up while you guys are talking. Habs are up 4-0. Pacioretty trying to get by him along the boards, and Chara just boom, boom, done. Pacioretty out, like done. Change the rule or change the structure of the rink because of this guy. And I mean, just extremely physical. The fact that he's still as physical as he is with how many games he's played and how old he is now, even on the ice, still looks like a freak out there. But yeah, that one against Pacioretty, as a Habs fan, 2011, some pretty good games back then. And I remember the time being so pissed off. Like, what a greasy dirt bag. And it was, I mean, he knew what he was doing on the play. And ouch, that one hurt. So, that was, Zdeno Chara. And Ty Chris tonight, move past the most games played ever for a defenseman.
Can I just say, because I just remembered this, is I got a future we got to talk about it that we got to talk about, but we should probably talk about later. And it's to do with you, Gager. So I actually, we had some folks over for dinner the other day. And, it turns out, because we had the hockey game on and they're watching the hockey game with us. You were on the panel on the TV. So he looks up and he says, "Oh, Joaquin Gage, I got a story about that guy."
Oh, no.
And I was like, "Oh, well, tell me about it." And it turns out that I know that this is what he was beforehand, but he was a police officer.
Uh-oh. And
I don't know if you've ever told the story about your equipment and the case of the missing equipment right before you left for Germany. And this was the officer that solved the case, that cracked the crime, and that was the officer on the
really?
Yeah. So I was thinking, because he's the guy that's got the story about like how they actually found Gager's hockey gear and other stuff. He's the guy that got a story about that. So I was like, oh, maybe we'll bring him on. Might be something to do. Would be funny.
That would be kind of funny.
I don't know. I don't think, Dusty, remind me. I don't think he's ever told that story. Gager,
no, I've never heard this story.
No.
I did not know that you misplaced your gear, buddy.
Okay.
No,
so
I didn't misplace it.
You didn't misplace it, but it went missing. And the police were involved. So
can you give us the Coles Note version here, Gager?
No, you know what? That's episode 206.
Okay, we'll save it.
That's the missing gear. All right, we're gonna we'll tease that for next time, because we got stuff we got to talk about.
Yeah, we do got lots to get to, but
so
I can't wait to hear that story now.
You might have to pump that up on your show too, Dusty. That's
we'll have to get to that one. That's a nice. I like that. Okay, all right. Okay, well, actually, wow, this is, what are the odds of this? I wanted to actually talk about what I talked about on my show this morning, and that's how old are you when you start carrying your own hockey bag? And what are the odds that we transition from Gager's equipment going missing to carrying your own stuff? It was Justin Williams, Mr. Game 7, who tweeted out, he said, leaving a youth hockey tournament, if you're carrying your kid's bag, please stop it. And I was just like, well, my boy's 6. I carry his bag. He's 6. And I had a bunch of people today texting in saying, my kid's carried his bag since he was 4. I've got other people saying, my kid started to want carrying his bag when he was 7 or 8. So that's when he started doing it. I had some guys say, when my kid was 10, I was finally like, no, dude, you're carrying your bag now. So do you guys remember when you started carrying your own bag? And was it something that was forced on you, or did you just decide you wanted to do it? Or how old do you think you should be? What was that like?
You first, Cass, or me?
Doesn't matter. We're probably going to have a similar answer, but you go ahead. How about you go ahead?
I was planning for the Kerrisdale Point Grey, and a kid came. He was from Ontario. His name was Andrew Smith, I believe, and he was a phenomenal hockey player. He was good at every sport, but he walks in, and it was like kind of young blood coming in. Like, we were like 9 years old. I thought he drove, right? He even had a little bit of facial hair that might as well have been a beard at that point. I think he did have a leather jacket on, and he was like last to come in. And I look over at this kid. He comes in, and half of us came there half dressed. He's still in his clothes. He gears completely down, puts everything on, and I'm sitting there. My dad's tying my own skates, and he comes in and ties his own skates and gets ready to go. introduces himself, and we're Kerrisdale's kind of a rich place, and not that my parents were rich at all, but it was a bunch of silver spoon-fed guys, and I was just in awe of this kid. And he goes out there and he's wheeling around and ripping pucks by me, taking slap shots. And after that, I saw after he grabbed his bag and left, I said, "Dad, get out of here." And I was wobbly because I didn't even have the strength to tie my own skates for the next month. And I carried my own bag because he carried his own bag. And that was the point. That was the turning point that I was like, okay, this is for real. We aren't little kids anymore. This guy's a stud and I want to be more like him. So,
and you were 9?
Yes. I was 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
8 or 9. That was it. I completely was like, oh my gosh, Dad, get out of here. You're not tying my skates anymore. So
I thought he drove there.
Yeah, he had a stash. Andrew
sounds like he
great,
skateboarded.
Man.
He skateboarded there with his bag on his back.
Probably, yeah. So
what about you guys?
8 or 9.
I do not, that I can recall or cannot ever remember not carrying my own bag.
Okay.
Which probably falls in line with like the Grandpa Ed Cassian mindset is, like you carry your own bag. So I don't think, I would have had help tying the skates and all that, but I don't think I ever didn't. Like, I'm sure it happened on 1 or 2 occasions, like where my mom or dad grabbed the bag and picked it up, but it was always our responsibility. Like hanging up the equipment was always our responsibility. Taking care of it was always always up to us. Not that I think it's wrong if parents help out and carry the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll carry my kid's backpack sometimes, like if she's got heavy books in there, getting off the bus or whatever. But I don't know. I just it's like builds character. It's not like it's if your equipment's not too heavy to wear and to skate, it's not going to be too heavy to carry in a bag. And I think that was always the mindset where it's just like, no, if you want to do this, you can do this and you can take care of it. So certainly, like, I get it when parents have their kids carrying stuff, but it all depends on the age too. Like if you're getting to like 10 years old, 11 years old,
yeah,
like, it's time. You can carry your own gear. Like 4-year-old to 6-year-old, 7-year-old, like I get it. That's fine. They're just little, but the second you start maturing at all, like, come on, carry your own stuff.
I'll be interested to see, because I know Marshall was listening to the show today and he's got hockey this weekend. So I'll be interested to see, like, with the way with COVID, we've kind of just been putting on like the lower part of his gear to go anyway. So his bag's kind of light anyway, so he could carry it there and maybe I'll carry it home. But because I was a goalie from when I was like 8 to 14, and my first 2 years in net, I wore those big old brown, like leather stuffed pads. And I remember my dad, I'd have the big ass goalie bag on one side and then the pads strapped over my shoulder on the other. And those things were freaking heavy back then. So yeah, I was probably about 8 or 9 when I started doing that, I guess. That's fun. Good times. All right, boys, let's get into Keep It or Clip It. We got 4 questions for Keep It or Clip It today. If you're watching on the live stream, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Just search 2 Guys and Goalie on all your podcasting platforms. Here we go. Nathan MacKinnon should be punished at least in some way for slashing that official off of a face-off here recently. Remember, Vermette got 10 games when he did it. What do you think? Keep it or clip it? Should he be punished?
Keep it. Keep it. He needs 6 to 7 games. You can't do that. If it was the only reason it'd be 6 to 7 games is because it's Nathan MacKinnon, and he's one of the best players in the world. Like if that was a 4th line player that did that, he's getting 10 games to 12. So yeah, he probably deserves 10 games, but he's going to get 6, or maybe, I don't know. It should be at least 6 games.
They said there's no discipline coming, buddy. The NHL has put out a statement just in the last little bit. No, just in the last little bit. Like the last 5 minutes. I'm just kind of bringing us up to speed here. They're saying there's no discipline coming when Vermette. How
can you not have that?
It was Vermette, right? Wasn't it Antoine Vermette? He got like 10 games. I'm almost certain. Pretty sure it was Vermette. Somebody on Ottawa, I thought, got 10 games.
I think you're right.
Gage, did you watch this, right? Like,
yeah.
When I first saw it, I thought maybe he was trying to slash at an opponent who just skated away, and he kind of got the official. But then when I watched it again, I was just like, no, he just hacked that linesman on the leg. So I don't know. It's weird to me that there's nothing here, not even a fine.
Vermette was 10 games, and it was when he was at Anaheim.
Yeah. 10 games.
But when you watch that for a minute, that was he. Okay, I'm going to clip it first of all.
Okay.
Because I think the whole we don't know the whole scenario yet, but a lot of times on draws, especially when you have veteran guys and they know the linesman and they're talking throughout the game, and I think it was just one of those situations where MacKinnon just slashed him because it was not because he was mad, but just he lost the draw, and I think it was some sort of playful thing. I don't think it was that, because he slashed him right on the shin pad, right? And I think it was one of those kind of funny things where MacKinnon lost, and he he was blaming the linesman because he lost that draw and slashed him that way. That's why there's no suspension or anything. I think the lines would go, he was messing with me or whatever.
But if
I
I
shouldn't do it anymore. Like, it should be like, look, this is unacceptable. You can't be going around slashing linesmen when you lose the draw. But I don't think there was any malice intent there. It was just kind of something to try to be a little funny.
If I did it, I'd be getting a 10-game suspension. So
the NHL said that they investigated it right after immediately, and it was determined that he didn't mean to hit the official. He was looking to slash an opposing player, which I kind of mentioned earlier, but the player had already moved on. I don't know. I don't know. I thought fine the guy at least when 10 games in the past. So a little bit of a double standard, I think, going on here, but we'll see how it plays out.
But like I just watched the Vermette one, and it wasn't like he tapped him.
It's not much different. Like the play itself is not much different, right?
Not different at all. Same situation, same off the face-off. Like that to me is an absolute joke that you're not giving any supplemental discipline. Again, it should be 10 games, like the same amount. And if you're going to go with the all-star gracious, it should be 5 or 6 at least. But no, I mean, I don't care. Like you can't. The linesman was in front of him, joking or not joking. You can't slash a linesman. And it wasn't like there was another guy right beside him and he just missed. Like that was, to me, completely blatant. So yeah, it should have been a suspension. It's because it's Nathan MacKinnon, but I think that's a joke.
I would like to see a suspension because the guy
his pads like you do a goalie though, right? Like
just tapping him. Good drop.
Great face off. No.
No.
I wish that would have been his defense, though. I was actually just tapping him to say, "Good work, man. Good job getting out of the way on that draw." Yeah. All right, here's one. Keep it or clip it. Both Tyson Barrie and Evan Bouchard shouldn't be on the team next year. Or what? You shouldn't have both of them on the team next year. Sorry, that's how it should read. Keep it or clip it. You can't have both on the team next year for the Oilers.
Clip it because Barrie's not having the year he's having. I don't think he'd get as much as if he was having a good year. And you got to keep Bouchard. Like it. Everyone just pump the brakes on this guy. It's his first year in the NHL. He's gonna suck for another year probably. Like on the cast, you mentioned it lots. Just his awareness and stuff, and he's a young defenseman with a lot of upside. Okay, his defensive play needs a lot of work, and he needs to. There's a lot of things to do, but man, that's he's going to be one hell of a defenseman eventually. He's a top 2-3 defenseman. Who knows where his ceiling goes? But yeah, man, this is his first year. He's going to struggle. He's going to struggle next year too.
Cash, you think they'll both be back, or they can both be back? Like, is an okay strategy?
Ideally, only Bouchard's back, I think, at this point. But I don't think Barrie's going anywhere. So, I mean, keep it. It's going to have to be fine.
I think there'd be a trade market for Barrie, though. Not a juicy one, but there's got to be some teams out there that are like offensive right shot D-man. Like if they're strong, if they've got 2 steady guys on the right side, and you can have Barrie play sheltered 5-on-5 minutes and then be on your top unit power play. Like I don't think it's untradeable. But you're not going to get a great return.
Season? Is it this season or like draft?
He's got 2 more. Doesn't he have 2 more?
Yeah, but when would you trade him? Would you trade him in season this year or in the summer before?
I'd come up with a plan in the offseason moving forward to replace him with somebody different than Bouchard on the right side, right?
Okay, so you're not saying Bouchard replaces Barrie yet, right? That's what I'm saying.
I mean, he kind of has anyway, right? Like, you know how like they're right now with the way Bouchard's playing defensively, they're basically the same guy, except I think Bouchard is a little bit better offensively, but yeah. Well, we'll see how it plays out. All right.
Just clone Niemelainen. That's what they need to do.
I love Niemelainen, guys, by the way.
Clone a right shot Niemelainen. Yeah.
Oh,
can you imagine? That would be just the
just 2 Niemelainens
brothers. Oh, that would be unbelievable. I would love that so much.
He's great, man. We don't talk. We haven't. Maybe that we'll do that next episode. We should talk about it.
You want to make that note for
man? He does some
Niemelainen
things good.
and missing gear 206. The Oilers will pick up at least 6 of 10 points on this 5-game road trip.
Oh, jeez. 6 of 10. You know, I'm gonna keep it. Because I thought they were gonna lose in Winnipeg and I thought they would. They did better than I thought last weekend, and they know they have to bring their game to a high level. Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah. Keep it.
I'm gonna clip it and go 5 of 10, and I think you're happy with that.
Is that still okay? Yeah, that's what I was going to follow up there. Yeah,
yeah, I think you're happy with that. Like, you're playing some really good teams here. If you get 3 points out of the next 3 games, that's a solid. You
got to be pretty happy with that. Yeah,
you got to be happy with that on the road. Like, I think that's a pretty good start. So if you get 5 points in these 5, I think you're not like thrilled with it, but you're not disappointed with it. So I'm going to say 5 out of 10.
All right, final question. I don't know if you guys saw it. He came close, but Igor Shesterkin will score a goal in the National Hockey League at some point. Keep it or clip it.
Oh.
You see how close he was, Gager?
He was close, but it was 2-1 too, right?
It was 2-1.
When he shot that? Yeah, that's ballsy.
Which is why I think he'll get it. Like, if you're firing it in 2-1 game, I'm like, this guy's going to shoot till he gets one.
Yeah, that's drop passing at the blue line, though. Oh God. Okay, I'm changing. Yeah, I'll keep it. If he's ballsy enough to pull that at 2-1, he'll give it another shot. And I think that landed just before the blue line too. He can fire it at the end of the game. So yeah, keep it. He'll score one.
Kaz, what do you think?
I'm going to clip it. I don't think he gets
because
it.
Because it's crazy to predict a goalie to score a goal in his career.
In his career. See, the hard thing is like, I don't know. You could have made it better and said like in the next 5 seasons. I don't know. He probably will get one if he just keeps doing it and keeps trying it. Like, he's probably going to get one eventually. But I don't know.
Gager, you played the puck a lot. Did you take a lot of cracks at it?
I took a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You come close?
Yeah. Went to overtime and we lost. No, in practice I would practice it, and I would get I'd go 10 for 10, and just soar it over people. Like, I go stand at the red line and I'd try to soar, and guys would try to get it with and I would go in. But as soon as I tried in a game, it felt perfect and it was like waist high. But I came close a couple times. Like, I think 2 times I put it past the net, like by a couple feet.
Yeah.
You know? So. But
nice.
Never 2-1. Never 2-1. If it was 2-1, I could fire it high off the glass, like at the red line. One time it almost did go in the American League. I fired it late, hit the glass, and it kind of went towards. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's got a chance. But I think Ralphie Intranuvo scored on that one. So assist.
There you go. Finish it up. Get yourself a helper along the way. All right, boys. So that's going to do it. We're going to have another episode on Thursday. Quick turnaround. We'll break down that game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. We will see how it goes for the Oilers on that one. Of course, you'll be able to hear Cass on pregame and postgame on TSN 1260. Gager was on my show this morning. And you're not on Sportsnet for that Wednesday game, right, Gager?
No, Like I said, I'm the Stuart Skinner of the group.
Should be on every time, but I'm only on once every 3 weeks.
I want you to turn
I'm like
Gene Principe's hair into a wig and wear it on one of those intermissions.
my performance. I'm like that Black Panther cologne. I work 60% of the time, all the time.
All right, that's going to do it for another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. For Cass and Gager, I am Nielsen. Thank you very much for watching. If you have not yet subscribed to the podcast, make sure you do that. And if you are listening to the podcast, we appreciate the downloads for every single episode. It's all brought to you by our friends at Coolbet Canada. Stay cool and bet responsibly with Coolbet. Obviously, the Oilers will be a pretty significant dog, I would think, against Tampa Bay. But you can find those odds at Coolbet probably later tonight and for sure by Wednesday morning. Gager, Cass, talk to you guys on Thursday, all right?
Later, boys.